It's time to review and give our early reaction to the Marvels. You and I were at a screening last night. I was uninvited to the screening. Thankfully, you made me your plus one, which is it's like something out of a romantic comedy, which this film is not. Alan, tell us the story of the Marvels.
The Marvels, yeah. So the villain, Durban, Darben. She is a Kree, and something horrible happened to the Kree planet. The environment has been thrown into shambles because of Captain Marvel, who destroyed the Supreme One. Is that the right name for it? The Supreme whatever. Um, it's, so the planet of Hala is dying. The Kree people are dying, and Durban is now the leader, and she's going to exact her revenge on Captain Marvel by going to the Skrull refugee planet, and steal its atmosphere, and then go to another planet, steal its water, and then finally to Earth to steal its sun. This is the ultimate revenge that she can take upon Captain Marvel. Meanwhile, um, and by doing so, created a mess out of the jump points that we all know about from Guardians. So, in investigating what Durban is doing, we come across Captain Marvel, come across Monica Rambeau and Kamala Khan. And weirdly, because of the actions of Durban, the three heroes there are interconnected, and every time they use their powers, they switch places. And realizing that something crazy is going on, the three have to band together, become a team, and defeat Durban with pure Marvel girl power. And that's our story. That's where we are. And there's a lot of cats involved in it.
Well, let's talk about some of the events that are in the film. Effectively, what Darben is doing is going to all of these other worlds, which Captain Marvel has somewhat of a connection to, and from one of the worlds, which is where a group of Skrulls I have like an outpost for some
It's a
Skrulls.
refugee planet. I
It's
think
a
that's what it's called.
refugee camp for Skrulls. She steals the air. Then she goes to another planet, which where Captain Marvel is famous on this planet. She's kind of famous because she married the prince. It is a world where they communicate with song, which you would expect that there would be some huge dance number out of a Bollywood movie. That's fairly lackluster. And she meets the prince, but they're not romantically entangled at all. In
But they're
fact,
married.
they're married, but she doesn't really. It's really a marriage of for political
It's
convenience.
almost as if you were actually married to Captain Marvel.
Yeah, exactly. Just as cold as if you were actually married to Captain Marvel. And so then they steal water from this world, and then they go to Earth to steal the sun. This is real, folks. This is real. And at every level that in which you could judge the film, from the writing to the acting to the chemistry between the characters, is just lackluster. And I think I made this comparison, and we'll go into more specifics, but I want to give a comparison here. The movie Superman 4: The Quest for Peace is not a very good movie. Bad blue screen, bad special effects, terrible story, terrible script. It was the fourth Superman movie, and it was just bad. Having said that, it has actors and characters that I really love. You know, Christopher Reeve as Superman is he's was born to play Superman. Gene Hackman as Lex Luthor is fantastic. Margot Kidder is so good as Lois Lane. It has people you like. Imagine a movie as bad as Superman 4: The Quest for Peace, except there's no one in the movie to like, with the exception of Ms. Marvel, who is charming and likable. She just is. And that's what this movie is. It is a bad film with and the thing is you just have to accept the fact that Brie Larson as Carol Danvers / Captain Marvel is not likable, and she doesn't have chemistry. She never figured out this character. And let me explain. if you look at someone like Chris Evans and how he chose to portray Steve Rogers, aka Captain America, he had the heart of a hero before he even took the super soldier serum, right? He had that heart of a hero when he jumped on that grenade at boot camp to save his fellow recruits. That he was already a hero. The super serum just made it easier for him to express that heroism. When Tony Stark, as portrayed by RDJ, Robert Downey Jr., was humbled, thrown in a cave, and built this iron suit. There's a character arc that has something to do with the story, and you understand who those people are. I don't know who Captain Marvel is. And I think that she's actually worse in this film than she was in the first movie. And look, you can criticize me all you want. Fine. She never figured out who the character was, because character drives story. And that's not the case in this. It's this happens, then this happens, then this happens. And that's just a few points I want to make before we start getting into details. Alan, your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I quite frankly, Captain Marvel is indicative of everything Disney's been putting out. Star Wars, uh, Disney itself, the movies, and Marvel. It's all about the narrative. The Marvels essentially have to do a thing. They have to defeat the bad guy, get her, magical bangle, and work as a team. And of course, there's issues about the team, but there's nothing really deep or interesting about that. They spend a lot of time with this idea of like Monica and Carol have been avoiding each other for a long time, long before the blip, and it just struck me as odd that Monica is holding this grudge against Carol because Carol never came back for her, to be her friend and to watch her grow up. Because what was Carol doing at that time? She was saving the universe. But no, this kid is being so selfish that she misses and holds Carol responsible for not being there for her by being the absent aunt. And to me, this is indicative of this movie is that it tries to build these stakes without ever earning the stakes. This idea that Monica hates Carol because she wasn't there. It's summed up in a few minutes, and then it's resolved later in a few minutes. They don't understand stakes. That another minor spoiler here is that it was Carol who basically destroyed Hala. By destroying the Supreme Intelligence, she destroyed the planet. Well, when I first started reading X-Men, lo and behold, Jean Grey did the same thing, and they executed Jean Grey for that. There are no stakes here. Everything here is all at the convenience of narrative. The things they do with Goose and the Flurkins, it's all convenient narrative. It's this whole movie is essentially all fluff and no substance, and that's why this movie is a horrible movie, because it's just carrying you along in a story that some people thought was cool, while giving you nothing but an empty feeling at the end of it. And that's pretty much sums up my entire feelings about this movie.
Myself as well. It's just I don't know who was asleep at the wheel that thought when they read the script that this was clever. Because one of the things that I think has been done very well is the cosmic version of the Marvel Universe, which was created by James Gunn. He was the one that created the look, the tone, did the world building, and we
And
understand
the rules behind the cosmic world.
the rules, how it works. There's no warp speed, but there are effectively these portals, and you can jump through the portals to get to other places in the galaxy fairly quickly. And this is how it works. There are all sorts of, there are ravagers, there are all sorts of types of civilizations. And whenever James Gunn would bring in a new civilization, he did a good job of doing the world building. The world building is just not here. And what it does is it borrows a lot from Guardians, and it really wants to be Guardians, but it's so falls short. It so falls short. I think part of it is also like I get the feeling like a lot of it is too like that it's like this movie was written by someone who'd never read a comic book. Like how the
Yeah.
rules, how that like look, you need rules also to buy the reality. The rules are important. You can break them a little bit, right? Generally, rules that are established are broken in the third
Yeah.
acts.
Well, I mean, look at the
But
whole swapping thing. I mean, the entire first 2/3 of
right,
the movie is all about them being able to swap places. But
right.
but please explain to me how that works with their light-based powers. Uh, again, it's there because someone thought it'd be a cool idea if they just swap places, and they just wrote it in and tried to find some kind of explanation that no one understands and no one can explain again. Um, and and that just goes to the fact that these whoever wrote this, the committee that wrote this, they don't understand comic books and they certainly don't understand physics.
And not only that, the rules for the switching are not as clearly defined as they
Mhm.
should be because they still use it happens sometimes, but not all the time.
Yeah.
That's the way I saw it.
And did you notice? Okay, because my understanding is Ms. Marvel gets her powers from the bangle. So
Right.
when the bangle is removed from her, I won't spoil how or when. Somehow she's still able to use her powers.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and again, it's everything is done for the sake of narrative, as opposed to you've got to have these rules to confine that narrative, so that you just can't do whatever you want. That's why some people would say Superman is a weak character because he's too powerful. Well, Captain Marvel in a sense here is the same thing as Superman. She's too powerful, and there's no rules behind her, which is
Well,
why they had to create kryptonite.
there, there's also, and I think it's important sometimes to like, you do want to be able to like understand how the powers work and what, because it's not just about the powers, is what are the weaknesses?
Hmm.
Superman's weakness is kryptonite, right? If he's in the presence of kryptonite, it, you know, he loses his powers, he becomes weak. But Carol Danvers' powers are not clearly defined.
Yeah.
She can
Or yeah. I'm gonna say even Monica Rambeau, she sees light. So how does that make her basically Kitty Pryde and be able to change her density?
correct.
Nothing is explained, and it all exists for the sake of progressing that narrative. If it's like the original Batman series where Batman's utility belt always had the thing that was gonna save the day, and it just happened to be there, such as shark repellent.
Right.
You know, who had the foresight to put shark repellent in the utility belt that morning?
Well, by the way, it's bat shark repellent,
Yeah, bat
Alan.
shark.
Bat
Shark
shark
bat
rep
repellent.
Yeah. But ultimately, this feels, just to have some final thoughts on this, and then we're gonna go to your comments and questions. This feels like a Disney Plus special. It's shot like a TV show because most of the people are shot in medium shots. There's a sequence where they go against Dar-Ben, and it's looks like it's on the set of some laser tag place in some black room. Do you remember the scene? It's in the
Mhm.
trailers, and you're looking at that, it's like, it could not be any less interesting than that.
Yeah. I've
So,
gotta say something about Dar-Ben, though.
okay. You
I
mean
I
another weak villain?
well, I'm not even gonna refer to the villain itself. I mean, the it felt like to me that someone made a decision to make the actress, I forget her name right off the bat, um, Zawa Ashton. Uh, Someone said we need to make her look ugly. Let's take an attractive person and just do everything we can to make them look ugly. Her hair is silver and scraggly. Her uniform has no form to it. It flatters nothing. It doesn't even feel it doesn't even feel like it's useful. There's no utility of it in battle. And then whatever they did to her teeth, I don't I to this day I don't understand what they were trying to go for. but it was like literally taking a beautiful person and make them ugly for no reason at all. Uh,
Yeah, it's I mean, Marvel has had a problem with villains. It's like, here's the villain of this movie that will be defeated at the end of the movie. Well,
mhm.
once you've done that so many times, it gets boring. The reason that Thanos was such a real threat is it's the first time that we've seen a Marvel villain win
Yeah.
and leave our heroes, well, half of the heroes, uh, left them to dust. So it seems like every villain is like, well, the villain's just going to get defeated at the end of the movie, anyways. It's the same story over and over. I think audiences have grown tired of this story. Currently, at least, could you bring up Rotten Tomatoes, Alan? For some reason, I'm unable to share it.
Okay, let me.
The reported budget of this movie was 274.8 million. This is what they're saying the budget was. And it's currently around 58% on Rotten Tomatoes. That could be wrong.
Yes.
58%.
58%.
Well, that's up from this morning where it dropped to 52%. Now it's up to 58%.
Yeah. I think earlier on Twitter, it was at 69 reviews, and that was at 54%.
Yeah, well, it's really frustrating how let's take a look at some of these. Let's take a look at some of these. These are the top critics, and I see a lot of green. From Mike Ryan from Uprocks. Even though there are some fun scenes with the Marvels trio, I'd be hard pressed to recommend this to anyone who isn't an MCU super fan. There you go. More
I mean, you're gonna recommend this to an MCU super fan.
Alan, final thoughts to our early reaction to the Marvels. I mean, you gave it, and I'm going to bring up the review. You gave it a 4 out of 10.
Yes.
So I want to go to it right now.
Yeah, and I was kind. I think
You were being kind with the 4 out of 10. Here it
yeah,
is. The
yeah,
Marvels. Here, look, it's a review by Alan
yeah.
Ng, who I'm talking to now.
And look, 4 out of 10, and the big reason why is white tank top.
What about the white tank top?
It was there, and it
Well,
looked amazing.
you gave it a 4 out of 10, and I think that's kind of where I'm at, maybe more like a 3 or a 4 out of 10.
Yeah.
But it is in my mind, this is the worst film that Marvel has made.
Yeah, it's almost as if phase 4 and 5 is leading to this. And
Right.
and that while phases 1 through 3 built its way up to the top, phases 4 and 5 built its way to the bottom. And,
Yeah.
and mission accomplished.
Yeah. Definitely mission accomplished.
Good job, Marvel.
All right. Well, go read Alan's review. It's at filmthreat.com.